Man, our fighters aren't doing that great against this giant Cyclops monster. Fortunately, Ganondorf from The Legend of Zelda is here to save the day. Hey kids, welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, hoping that you are having a great day. And in today's video, I got something really special to share with you because I've got a big box with stuff inside of it. This is a big old box of Mage Knight miniatures. Bunch of these little guys, whole bunch of them just sitting in here, and we're going to talk about Mage Knight today. Mage Knight, for those of you who don't know, is a miniatures war game set in a exclusively fantasy world with its own unique armies and its own unique models for the core gameplay. It first came out in the year 2000, I think. I think it came out on 2000 on the dot. And it's a funky little miniatures war game. I've seen some people call it like Warhammer Light because you don't have to assemble the models, you don't have to make the models. So it's kind of like an introductory war game. And I've seen other people call it a collectible figures game because, yeah, there is a bit of a randomness to some of the figure collections. But mostly what I remember it as is the first of what I call the clicks games. You see, let's find a good example of one. Oh, look at this orange boy. So, you might have noticed that all of the models I'm pulling out of this box here, all of these minis have a base. Well, that base, if I can get the camera to focus on that, that base is the part of the core of the gameplay. You see, every model in this game has a clicks base. And I can't move this one without snapping the model in half. Let's find one. Let's find one that I can move. Can I move this big guy's one? Yeah, okay. So, I can't really show it that well on the camera, but it's a two-part base with an underside and a top side where the actual figure sits on. And throughout the game, you can click the dial back and forth as the unit takes damage in battle. There's some grime on this bad boy. Let's wipe that off. And where was I going with this? Ah, yeah, so it really sets this apart from other miniatures games at the time was that the stats, so to speak, were built into the model itself rather than you didn't need an extra rule book. There was a comprehensive rule book for the game, but all the minis, all the models, all the units had their rules attached to them, which was very different from what Warhammer did at the time or what a lot of other miniatures games like, I forget what it's called, the one that's like World War II historical reenactment. I used to play that one too. Oh well. The thing that really stood out for me though is the fact that, yeah, for Mage Knight, at the very least, because of the base click system that it has going on there, it stood out a bit. And it stood out enough that there's a few other games that use its basic rule set. Hero clicks and horror clicks. The clicks games. And they all use the basic, you know, they all play effectively the same. They are miniatures war games, but they are different in terms of theme. Mage Knight is more fantasy, dark fantasy. It's got a bunch of weird factions in it. Whereas Hero Clicks is more for DC, Marvel-based heroes, and Horror Clicks is a lot of, well, exactly that. Horror-themed miniatures, horror-themed miniature battles. It's got a bunch of, like, classic movie monsters, as well as, like, slasher film characters like Jason and Freddy vs. Jason had a box set. There was an Alien Queen miniature that I actually really wanted. I just never ended up getting it. But yeah, all that comes from... Look at this funky little bear. All that comes from this one game, Mage Knight. And it's a really fun game. To go over the basics really quick. Like any miniatures war game, you have an army. And armies are comprised of minis that have a certain point value on the... yeah, perfect. If you can see it, you probably can't, but if you can see it there, all minis have a point value. And your army has so many points to work with, and those points directly correlate to gameplay because the more points in your army, the more actions you get during a turn. And actions can be things like moving your units, attacking at ranged, fighting opponents, etc., etc., etc. I'm not going to go over the rules. I don't have someone here to bounce off the rules with me, but there's a lot of fun aspects to this game, not just for army versus army combat, but there's a bunch of little neat like dungeon crawling aspects to it. It does have a role-playing aspect to it if you want to approach the game from that angle. But more to the point, it just has a lot of variety in terms of the minis you can find. There are blind boxes, but a lot of the minis come in preset packs, preset kits. And a lot of them are just really creative, really inventive molds with some really cool designs. Like this is a Vergoyle. That is the actual name of this thing, Vergoyle. And it's a draconic stone-looking guy. It's a gargoyle. It's a gargoyle from the TV show Gargoyles, but they're calling it a Vergoyle so that they don't get sued by Disney. Smart choice. There's this freaky-looking guy, Emotep Incinerator. It doesn't want to zoom in. Why am I talking about this? Well, because I think it's cool. And on this channel, I talk about what I think is cool more often than I probably should. I should do focused videos, but today I just want to share the Mage Knight basics with you. I should probably show you my favorite. Got my favorite over here on the desk. Is this guy. This is the Skull Golem. And doesn't that look absolutely... does not want to focus one bit. Poke, poke. The camera does not want to focus on these smaller things. And they are pretty small. I mean, look, that's my hand with the guy in it. He looks really sick. The problem is, in case you can't tell, he's really lopsided, so he doesn't like to stand up. He keeps falling over. But I like him nonetheless. This is a fun game. It had a bit of a heyday back in the day. 2003 to 2005, I think, was when it was most popular, especially around here. There were leagues. There were people who would show up every week to play big tournaments to win special promotional pins and minis. There were guys who got together and played Mage Knight instead of D&D. They would build Mage Knight dungeons and play with their minis through little dungeon adventures. Isn't that crazy? I'm trying to sift through this to find both. Oh, come on, where's it at? Okay, so part 1, we need a mini with a special base. Part 2, there we go. They tried a few different approaches to the moving the base around mechanic, because in case you couldn't tell, manually moving it's fine for most of the minis, but there's a few that have really thin models. So for minis like this, look how small this guy is. I would snap it in half if I tried twisting the base while holding onto the model, right? So what they did was they made special bases with a little plastic grips at the bottom, and they sent out these little rings. And all you had to do was grip the base itself, and you could, in theory, snap the base around like that. Makes a really awful sound, though, I'm going to be honest. I don't think I like that. The point of the base itself was to show the character's health, by the way. I'm pretty sure I didn't mention that. The base was the health of the character. They start out at max health, or whatever health the points of the army allows. And once they hit all the skulls, it's not going to show up on the camera, but I'm going to try to show it anyway. There's little skulls in there. Once you hit the skulls, you're dead. That unit's gone. It was a fun game. I'm going to be completely honest. It was very fun to play, very fun to collect at the time, very fun to engage with your opponent's armies and see what you could build. But it kind of fell out of favor after 2005. They did a relaunch, a rebranding even in... this one I really don't know. I want to say it was 2010, but I don't think that's correct. I know they did a rebranding after the initial die down. people stopped showing up, and it got a new look, a new edgier look. But yeah, this is just one of those interesting miniatures games that I think is pretty memorable, pretty unique. I mean, like, not all the minis look this great. The larger the minis look, the better they tend to be. And conversely, the smaller they are, the uglier the paint. Oh, this is a really bad one here. Let's see if this shows up with the camera at all. Like that, it's a really bad paint job all around. It's just splotches, honestly. And they're not all that bad, but like, some of them can be pretty awful. And of course it depends on the model too. Like some models look better with just splotched green on them. So like this guy doesn't look too bad with just flat splotched colors on him. But it's really a case-by-case basis. Oh, look at this bad boy. I'm just shoving models in the... This is a 10-minute video where I just shove little toys in the camera's face for the viewers. This is how I spend my time. This is actually just a booger. It's a snot monster. What's it called? Acid ooze. No, it's a snot monster. The other point of this video, besides just shoving toys in your guys' face for 10, 15, 20 minutes, is just to talk about the fact that there are alternatives to gaming. You know, there are lots of different kinds of games out there for the different niches in the hobby. So if you're looking for a miniatures war game, you don't just have to play Warhammer. You don't have to play Age of Sigmar. There are things like Mage Knight out there, and a lot of them are pretty enjoyable. And the thing is, I do think Mage Knight is a pretty fun game with when the base is done, when it's good, it's good. The other ones, sometimes it's really bad, though. There are alternatives to games like Warhammer that are more, maybe not as lore intensive, obviously. Mage Knight has lore, it has factions, it has a story. But besides that, it's just fun gameplay. It does use measurement systems, though. Like, you do have to measure your minis on the table. Like, look at this. It's actual measuring. Well, that's all wrapped up. Yeah, fun game. Fun game. I'm over here. I should not be allowed to just willy-nilly sift through toys, because I could do this for like 30 minutes. Just sifting through toys and shoving random things at you guys to look at. Look at this random... Look at this sick-ass looking Demon Knight motherfucker. Look at that. The camera does not want to focus. I got to learn how to make the iPhone camera focus. AI summary of this video: Frank shoves toys at the camera for 10 minutes. Oh, here we go. This one looks really cool. It's like a translucent green, almost. It doesn't really show up that well. How can I make this? I'm going to figure that out at some point. Anywho, so I'm not just spending so much time showing off random toys, because these are toys. It's a fun little thing. I like Mage Knight. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making a video just sifting through toys. I like Mage Knight. I think it's a fun game. If you have a chance to play it, play it. The rules are... they're not complicated. There's a lot of terminology to get through at first. But once you get through the basics, setting up is easy. There's a lot of different ways you can set up a game. There's a lot of levels to the gameplay. Like, there's... you know, the points you incorporate in your can be as low as 1,000 and as high as anybody's willing to agree to. There's a lot of different modes. There's boss monsters. There's cross-compatibility with hero clicks and horror clicks. There's all kinds of cool minis to collect. Like, I don't just have this freaky-deaky demon-looking guy and this big Cyclops. There's a Cthulhu one over there. He's huge. He's broken, but he's big. There's a bunch of dragons, too. If you're into dragons, Mage Knight has a lot of cool dragon minis. What I'm trying to say is it's a good game, and if you see it, if you are able to find a play group in your area that's still playing this, because there are dedicated play groups to this game, you know? Give it a try. It's legitimately fun, and I think it is a good game to just spend an afternoon playing and learning. So that's all I've got for you kids today. I hope you enjoyed Uncle Frank shoving random toys in your face for 15 minutes. That Viking. I'm so technologically illiterate. I'll never be able to figure out how to get the camera to focus on these random toys. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Leave a like, share, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you in the next one. I stopped recording and then immediately went back to sifting through the box. Oh, look at that paint job, man. That's just... What's this? What's this? Oh, look at this guy.